Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. Today's tool for my scribble will be the Jinhao 92 fountain pen. A fountain pen that was brought to my attention by one of my viewers, Unknown Crash. Thank you for that. I was not aware of its existence and the pictures and price won me over and pretty much placed an order the same day. And recently I finally received it and I have to admit, I kinda like it. The version that I got was the red and gold version, which is a little bit more expensive than the other three versions that they have for this fountain pen, but not that bad. It's still under the 20 Canadian dollar mark, and as such I consider this a pretty inexpensive fountain pen in theory. So if bold colors are not your thing, there are more toned down versions as well at cheaper prices. I started to shy away from black pens not because I don't like them, but because they are a pain to take videos or pictures of. The constructions of the pen is full metal body with a plastic insert inside the cap. As such, the pen does have a little bit of weight to it that I personally do like. I assume the pen is made out of brass. On this version, on the cap, there is a lion on it that looks oddly familiar from somewhere. And it also seems to be brushed and protected by some type of coating. From the pictures that I have seen, I don't think these design elements are present on the other versions, but if you do have them and you know better, please do correct me in the comments below. Sticking with the cap for a moment, based on how the cap seems to be designed, I expected it to be a hinge type, to have a hinge type clip, but it's actually solid in place. The clip just flexes and is pretty stiff, but definitely usable. I like the depression on the top finial, gives a nice depth to it, and the plastic insert gives a nice smooth feeling when twisting it in place. Just don't overdo it so you don't strip those plastic threads. It comes with a regular number 5 Jinhao nib that seems to be pretty decent on my copy. It's not scratchy, but not the smoothest nib in the world at the same time. However, it does its job and lets you know when you're in contact with the page, something that I do kind of prefer, especially for drawing. I do like a nib that gives you good feedback when it's in contact with the page. Now, it's not a sailor nib, so don't expect that. The pen does post, but it is a little bit top heavy if you post it, but somehow for my hand size feels okay, and I think I will like it even more for loose sketching. Majority of the time though, I have to admit, I will most probably prefer it unposted. I was a little bit worried about this section. I was thinking that it's gonna be a little bit slippery, but I actually had no issues with it. I don't know what kind of coating they applied to it, but so far I had no issues with my finger slipping on that section. I like it, and I like how it's matching the color with the cap and the finial on the barrel. That doesn't mean that not everyone might not have an issue with it though, so again, you'll probably have to try it for yourself. I also dig the diamond pattern on the body, and on this red version it's quite eye-catching, a little bit hypnotic as you twist the pen in your hand under a light. I also dig the knurling bands that are present on the cap and the finial for the barrel. The pen has an O-ring to keep the barrel nice in place, and it also comes with a normal size converter, which, as I usually keep on saying it, I love it. Converters should come on all fountain pens included. For today's ink, I am using something new that I recently got, and I am quite excited to try it out. I was planning to use it the first time for another future pen that I'm planning to review soon, but I couldn't wait until then. The ink that I'm using is the Yamaguri from Iroshizuku. I'm looking for a nice ink that it's closer to a darker sepia color, and I was hoping that this will be it since it is basically called wild chestnut dark brown ink. Unfortunately, the ink, to my eyes, it is brownish, but it feels like it has a little bit of small tint of green to it. Again, to my eyes at least. I do like it, however, but it's not really the sepia that I was looking for. And it also works beautifully with the nib on the Jinhao 92. I actually have absolutely zero complaints about the nib. During the writing sample worked without any issues, and the nib is exactly the same on both sides and works the same, with a ever so slightly thinner line on the reverse, but again just as wet and flowy as on the normal side. Not sure if I won the lottery on the Jinhao number 5 nibs, but this nib is as perfect as it can get from my perspective for an extra fine nib. Are all the number 5 nibs the same from Jinhao? Probably not. There is always a degree of luck I find with all brands, but also a huge degree of preference that varies from person to person. A nib can be nice from my perspective, but exactly the same nib in different hands might be scratchy depending on how the person writes on the page, how much pressure they put on a nib, how lightly they write, what ink they use, and of course what paper they use. Anyway, aside with the writing, everything worked out fine, so let me get into the drawing and let me tell you, I had some fun during the drawing. Since today I decided to try a completely new ink that I have no clue how will work on this Fabriano paper that I have, I decided to keep it simple. I digged into my photos, especially my film photos, found this picture and let myself inspire by it. I hope the ink will match the subject, which is kind of in tone with the weather and the season over here right now. I did took a little bit of an artistic approach to it, to this artistic photo to begin with. While I liked how the curly leaves were going in front and behind the branch in the photo, I thought for the drawing that might not be as good. So I brought all the leaves in front of the branch, putting more accent on the actual leaves rather than the branch by itself, or the branch and leaves. I also went a little bit more loose on that background and made the branch to blend in with it, so it looks like it's coming from somewhere rather than just appear and float on the page. The pen did pretty much exactly what I wanted without any hiccups, and it did not care if I was using a normal or on reverse. I really enjoyed the drawing and took my time with it. Tried to get as clean as possible, but somehow in the end it still ended up a mess of lines. I'm really taking on the scribble type. The only small annoyance I guess from the ink will be that I can't layer it as much as the other Iroshizuku inks that I have, so I just have to pay more attention on my light and dark areas. As you'll also notice, at one point in time I did a small test on a separate piece of paper to see how well the ink will hold up against a little bit of damped brush and water. I was thinking to try a water effect again on some spots of the drawing, especially the leaves, but unfortunately I noticed that as soon as you introduce a little bit of water on this ink, it starts to have a little bit of a red tint to it. So I kind of decided not to go with it, but as luck would have it, a little drop of water actually dropped on the paper I was drawing and smudged it, getting a small streak of reddish line. So, I had no other choice but to take the dive and use the brush on the drawing. I have to admit, I think that was a true happy accident, and I am happy that it happened. I like the drawing a little bit more in the end now. So, in the end, I am extremely impressed with this ink. I like how it lays down on the page. I had no issues with smudging with it, and it lays down quite a wet line even with this extra fine nib, and it dries up quickly enough. No kind of smudges. I'm actually impressed. Not 100% proof, as you can see, but I think it has a lot of potential for drawing and getting some cool effects out of it. So far I have 5 bottles of Iroshizuku and I am pleased with all of them. I'm not sure, maybe I am becoming a fan of Iroshizuku ink. Bottom line, I think I will definitely use this ink in the future drawings as well, for sure. Final thoughts on the pen. In my opinion, based on the copy that I have, I think that this is another great little fountain pen coming from Jinhao. I really have no issues recommending it. Again, just keep in mind that what works for me might not work for you, and there are always duds out there, no matter the brand, and one could get a little bit unlucky, unfortunately. Thank you, Unknown Crash, for recommending this. I really have no regrets getting it. And this is it for this week. As usual, enjoy the rest of the time lapse, and if you have any other questions, leave a comment below and I will try and get to it as soon as I can. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I'll see you next time, and I wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.